Liberals, well, they got a liberal. And part of being a liberal is taking credit for someone else's work. Latest case in point, Justin Trudeau and his government is handing the credit for Parliament finally recognizing the Yazidi genocide at the hands of ISIS to Immigration Minister John McCallum. Trudeau even sent this tweet saying, "All parties have come together on this important humanitarian effort. Thanks, John, for your leadership and compassion." Thanks, John? Trudeau's thanking Liberal Immigration Minister John McCallum for leading on the Yazidi issue? Really? What are the facts here? Did John McCallum lead anything? Well, it certainly wasn't John McCallum pressing, demanding, pleading, and advocating for Yazidi sex slaves for over the last year. That was conservative immigration critic Michelle Rempel. Just watch.
Mr. Speaker, does 25,000 refugees by December 31st, 2015 ring a bell? My question to the minister is this. We have a reasonable motion that has been accepted by all parties in here that has tangible action for Yazidis. Why on earth can the government not stand up and say that they will bring Yazidi sex slave girls to Canada?
It certainly wasn't John McCallum making impassioned speeches in the House of Commons imploring the government to do something, anything, to help the Yazidi women and girls being kidnapped into sex slavery by ISIS. That was Conservative interim leader Rona Ambrose.
On International Women's Day, my thoughts are with the Yazidi girls in Iraq who are being captured, tortured, raped, and forced to be sex slaves by ISIS. Those who can actually flee with their lives are now languishing in IDP camps. But, Mr. Speaker, we can help them. We can bring them to Canada. With private sponsors that are willing to help, will the Prime Minister commit today to placing these Yazidi girls in the joint sponsorship program so they can come to Canada and find safe haven? On International Women's Day, I asked the Prime Minister if he would step up and ensure that these Yazidi girls get placed in Canada's joint sponsorship program, and he had no answer. Germany has now taken in 1,000 of these girls and given them safe haven. So I'm asking again for the third time, will the Prime Minister step up and follow Germany's lead and help these girls?
It certainly wasn't John McCallum sitting in on all those Standing Committee on Immigration hearings with all those Christian NGOs asking the tough questions about the systemic discrimination Yazidis face from Muslim aid workers in UN refugee camps. That again was conservative immigration critic Michelle Rempel. It wasn't John McCallum that brought forward 2 House of Commons motions to recognize the Yazidi genocide at the hands of ISIS. That was the Conservatives. In fact, the Liberals even voted down the first of these motions, I guess because 80% of an entire religious minority being forced from their homes into refugee camps and sex slavery wasn't persecution enough for these Liberals. It was the Conservative Party and conservative immigration critic Michelle Rempel and conservative interim leader Rona Ambrose leading the charge to help the persecuted religious and ethnic minorities who are being exterminated and driven from their homeland on the Nineveh Plain in ISIS-held territory. It certainly wasn't John McCallum. And even to her credit, though we all know it was Michelle Rempel working tirelessly every single day to get help to the Yazidis, she graciously paid tribute to Nadia Murad, a Yazidi sex slavery survivor who's working to bring awareness to the plight of the Yazidis. Here.
A Yazidi prayer says, "Thou hast led us out of darkness into the light." Nadia Murad and her people have seen much darkness, but she has not been consumed by it. She has instead been the spark of light that has borne the hope of her people, awakening the world to our moral obligation to protect, preserve, and bring justice to victims of genocide. Nadia, Canada stands with you and your people. To her oppressors, Nadia has spoken, and we will stop your evil and see you to justice. You didn't break her, and her strength will be your undoing. Nadia, today Canada forms a covenant with you to answer your call to bring deliverance, refuge, and justice to your people. We will honor it, and we will challenge the world to do the same, to act to do what is right, to stand for what is good, just, and beautiful. Nadia, we honor you and we heed your call not only because we must, but because it is you that brought light to darkness.
Now, Nadia was in the House of Commons for the latest vote on the Yazidi genocide, and her presence left the Liberals no choice but to support the Conservative motion. Voting down the motion to support Yazidi victims of genocide in front of a Yazidi survivor of genocide would have caused these Liberals international embarrassment. The Liberals didn't vote for the motion out of a sense of goodness or responsibility or compassion. They voted for it out of a sense of shame. And Trudeau, well, he thinks his immigration minister, John McCallum, deserves all the kudos. We know McCallum doesn't. He's been a dismissive jerk about the genocide for over a year now and had to be dragged into acknowledging the genocide, kicking and screaming. History will not judge him well for wasting a year while a genocide is being committed. And what did Trudeau do to help the Yazidis? Well, he took a photo with a Yazidi sex slavery survivor while ignoring the genocide against her people. Now, I want to know why the feminist left isn't more outraged at Trudeau. This moral, preening, feminist prime minister actually stole credit from two hard-working women and a survivor of sex slavery to hand it off to an old man who did nothing. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunreid. At the Rebel, we hold the Liberals to account in ways the mainstream media never would. To see more, click the link below to subscribe.